For the Board of Trustees, we will start with the opening and pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Welcome to the August meeting. At this time, we have time for public comment. If there were any members here for public comment tonight, this is your chance. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and members of the village board. My name is Joe Sartoris, and this is my wife Ann. As you probably already know by now, we live next to the vacant house on 49 Academy Street that partially collapsed last Thursday evening. We're here tonight to ask the village what they are doing to alleviate this critical situation. I'm going to be reading from a prepared statement because we are just so frustrated and distressed, and we don't wish to needlessly prolong this meeting. We've been dealing with this vacant structure and its continuing decay for over 4 years. Mayor, you recently made a public statement that you were never informed about the condition of this house until you received our letter that was dated April 3rd of this year. We really find that statement hard to digest. 3 years ago, we contacted the past village code enforcement officer to let him know of the worsening conditions of this property. Unfortunately, since he is no longer around, there's no way to verify your statement. We had also contacted Washington County Code Enforcement, who posted this property, with the latest post warning that the building is in imminent danger of collapse. We were also told over a year ago, and probably likely more, by members of the Cambridge Fire Department that they were instructed not to enter this house should a fire occur because the first floor had collapsed into the basement. So, the county and the fire department were aware of this deteriorating condition, and you hadn't a clue? It's unfortunate the communication within the village departments is so poor. Another statement you made was that once you received our letter of April 3rd, you gave it to the village attorney. Yet, you didn't even bother to share it with other village board members, even though they were mentioned in that letter. Nor did you respond to us, or have you ever responded to us. As a former trustee of the village, I can assure you that that would never have happened under previous administrations. But, just for argument's sake, let's say you knew nothing about this situation. So let's see, April is when we contacted you with the letter, May, June. So over 3.5 months have gone by, and the only action you took was to hand off our letter to the village attorney? Not once have you contacted us, nor any other neighbors, to keep us informed. Mayor, you also stated that you were concerned about the cost of demolition or removal of this structure. It appears from that comment that you value the almighty buck over the personal safety of village residents. While we think that everyone in this room can appreciate fiscal responsibility, there are times like this that demand caring for the personal safety of others and other residents you represent. Otherwise, and we would hope that most would agree that otherwise it's considered irresponsible. While the village has kept its head in the sand, we've lost the ability to enjoy our property. We spend minimal time on the portion of our house that faces the still standing part of the building that hasn't collapsed. This means we haven't been able to sleep in our bedroom. We can't use our driveway because it's been roped off by the county due to the imminent collapse. And the smell of black mold that permeates all around the air around us. Particularly since it's now open to the environment. There are numerous young children living nearby who are being exposed to the mold spores, not to mention the many village residents who walk by. In closing, we hope all of you do the right thing and remove this structure without further delay. Finally, we would like to thank the Cambridge Greenwich Police, the Cambridge Volunteer Fire Department, the Cambridge DPW, and Washington County Code Enforcement for arriving at the scene of the 9 p.m. collapse last Thursday night. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public comment? Yes.
I'm Sue Maury. I live on the other side of the abandoned building. So I too have been complaining to the county for at least 4 years. And I have sent you a couple emails, and you did respond back to me saying that it was being looked into, but it clearly it's like the worst possible scenario you can possibly have as a neighbor, because I too have not been able to use my driveway. I only can use the very end because I was afraid the house was going to fall on it. My homeowner's insurance was canceled. Pretty sure it had nothing to do with the roof that may have needed repair in the next year or so, but claiming that I needed a new roof. I'm pretty sure it's because of that building, and they didn't want, they could see a claim waiting to happen. And I had the same company for over 10 years. So I'm pretty sure my homeowners was canceled because of that house. And it's a horrible scenario, but it's not the only one in the village. So whatever needs to happen, you guys have to figure it out, because there's several other buildings that are going to, this is a somewhat, I've lived here my entire life. So this is somewhat of a new problem, I think, in the village, but it is a problem. There's several houses that are really in bad shape with roofs gone and so on and so forth. Whatever the scenario is, that building has been open to the elements for 10 years. So everybody knew that drove by that thing was gonna come down for the last however many years. It was just a matter of time. And it got so bad that here we are now with the collapse. And I can envision that it just will sit there, just as it is, until hopefully you guys do something about it. The owners, if you're waiting for them, I don't believe that there's much cash there. So I don't think they're ever going to be able to clean up that property.
Okay, thank you. Any other public comment? Going once, going twice. All right, thank you. Thank you very much for coming. All right, we will move on to the approval of the minutes. Approve the 7/7/2021 board meeting minutes as written. You have also received copies of those. Comments in regards to the meeting minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion.
I wasn't here, so I have to abstain. You have
Okay,
that
so
first?
we got Steve and Steve.
Yes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And Amy abstaining. Up next is the treasurer's report of unpaid bills. You'll have the vouchers in front of you. The vouchers for the month of July for the unpaid vouchers is $113,393, and the paid vouchers totaling $9,727.43. I don't believe Les left anything of note. Is the LaBerge one from last month that came in this? For
Yes,
the grant?
Anything I've received, which includes the Burge, it includes the
Okay.
the clerk of the works, Steve's bill, that's
Income
all.
survey from Grasso?
That should all be taken care of.
In here, okay, perfect.
On page 4 of 6, the $33,886.50 for new zone plumbing and heating, HVAC and plumbing. Just curious what project that was.
This is the
That's the
capital
firehouse.
project section, so that's for the firehouse.
Gotcha.
The motion would read, approve the July 2021 statement of unpaid vouchers totaling $113,395.84 and paid vouchers totaling $9,727.43 pending audit of the individual vouchers. I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You'll also see in there the abstract of vouchers, operating statements, and balance sheets from Les. As always, he's available to call or email if you have any specific questions in regards to any of the bills. We have hit August, so this is the time Les usually starts preparing our annual update document that needs to be submitted to the state. So at some point, probably late August, we would have a special meeting to review the results of the AUD before he submits those on our expenditures.
Do you know on the general fund, on the revenue side, we got that big $775,000 number from taxes and penalties received from the county? What exactly would that be?
What page are you on?
The general fund page.
Ah, sure. Are you looking at his treasurer's report?
Yes, I'm sorry, the treasurer report, yep.
That's taxes.
So
Because
sales tax, property tax.
no, that's property tax, because our
Property
taxes
taxes.
were due in June.
So,
This is for this, if you look at the date of the treasurer's report, this is for June.
right, no, understood, but, so, I guess I just don't understand the process. We received this is the remainder of what we did receive from the,
No, this is our new tax year. The new tax year starts on June 1st.
I understand that.
And that's the funds coming in from the taxpayers paying on their property in
Okay,
June.
but that shows up as a county line?
Yeah, that's.
He
exactly what
puts
this is.
Washington County in parentheses on the side because any of those that don't pay the taxes by fall, we send those off and then the county makes us whole. That also goes into that same line.
That's in there.
Yeah, so that's why he puts a little parentheses to note it's taxes, penalties received, and then wash code.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Firehouse, as you all are aware, the firehouse is being built. We had the groundbreaking, which was a lovely event. That is moving along. I know a lot of people are driving by now and keeping an eye on the progress. It's very exciting for the community. So that is going, so far so good. And, as always, the FD members will have to outfit this facility with furnishings and fixtures. And anybody seeking to donate those is welcome to reach out to the FD to line that up.
Do we know if the FD has done an inventory of exactly what they need to fill the firehouse and how much all of that will cost?
Have you guys done a specific inventory for
I don't think the building
What's-
committee has, no.
planned?
Okay.
Nice winter project. How many tables you need for rooms, or how many chairs, or what type of furniture, et cetera, computers or printer. I know you'll need some printers. And
Yeah, I know they've been doing a lot of start construction work and whatever needs to be done there, so I don't think they've tackled that yet.
Gotcha.
All right, up next is the house at 49 Academy. It's since Thursday night, and what had happened, the attorneys, county code enforcement, our CEO and myself have been trying to gather as much information on this property and what it means now, how we move forward, how do we find some solution to be able to address this, who should address it, how to address it, etc. So, Cara, would you like to just start us off with some of our options? This was a particularly challenging, because it is very challenging with it being private property and what, governments can do when it comes to private property. So that's what we've been going over.
Sure, so, I guess first, the, code enforcement has been delegated to the county, so that's why the county also gets involved in this particular, situation here. So that is who handles the code enforcement, and that's who you reached out to immediately with respect to that. We spoke to the county attorney also, concerning this situation on Friday. And then we went and we looked at your existing local laws, and the village does have an unsafe building local law that allows you to take emergency action upon a determination that I have the language here. But upon the determination that the situation is in imminent danger, to the safety of people. So that is in section 5 of your local law. And that just says, where it reasonably appears that there's an imminent danger to life or safety of any person, then upon the order of a village board, you could immediately have the structure repaired, vacated, or demolished, depending on the situation, whether or not anything else in this particular law has been followed, the procedure that would otherwise be followed. Because of the potential due process claim for an owner of the real property, we recommended to the village that, one, you do get a finding from a professional with the requisite understanding to make such a determination. And we also recommended that the owners of the property be put on notice to avoid any potential due process claims with respect to them not having notice. And I believe we undertook both of those steps. So now you're in a situation where you can, the local law does not require the village to take action, even if that determination is made. But the village does have the authority to do so if in your discretion you feel like that's the action you want to take. If you decide to move forward with the demolition, then there are a couple still outstanding open issues, and that's with respect to the permitting. You understand the county will issue the permit for the demo. There's some issues potentially with asbestos. And there's always the underlying issue with the property owner should they ever decide to have a claim against the village. But if you have questions or if there's other information you want me to explain.
Yeah, so when Bill and I were talking on Friday, he had mentioned that the county would forego the permit, and I said, can we get that in writing? Which then did a back and forth between John Graham and myself of, well, no, I'm not gonna tell you, you can avoid doing the law, and if you're gonna do this, here's the info to your permit, which does have the required asbestos survey on it. That is a requirement to do an asbestos survey of a standing structure. But I did find on the county's own website that you can have an exemption and not do the asbestos survey if you have an engineer report, which we have, because Bill is not building code certified, so that's why we got the engineer report as well, because that's what makes the determination as far as this building. So that was my response to Washington County. Well, hey, here's this exemption. If we do this exemption, there's the county section of the permit is not cumbersome. It's basically filling out the proper information. It's the state requirement, which is the trickier piece. That doesn't happen immediately. I mean, you have to have them come out, they take the samples, they send them the lab, they send the report to the state, and then the state grants you permission to move forward. It's time-consuming piece. So I said that to John Graham, well, hey, here's this exemption. If we take this exemption, then we can avoid that piece. He said, yes, but then you would be making the whole site be considered an asbestos site, whereas, you're gonna make it harder for cleanup, etc. So yesterday I called and spoke with a company that does those asbestos surveys, and told the situation, here's what's going on, et cetera. And he said that knocking over that standing part onto the debris pile doesn't make it all asbestos. It's already considered asbestos the minute the county stuck the condemned sign on the door. So whenever they stuck that on, that automatically implied that this building, and the asbestos survey guy said, look, no asbestos survey company will go into a condemned building. So even if you decided to do it, you're not gonna be able to find anybody who would do this, and that taking the exemption won't make this more of a problem for the cleanup portion of it. So that, and he said most refuse to enter anyway, so there we go. So that's that piece of that. We are in a particularly tricky part this afternoon. The contractor that we had spoken with about possibly doing that isn't able to obtain the demo assurance. And so that's the other piece that we have to find now. Who can take this building down that has demo insurance? I had gotten a quote from the original contractor that I spoke with, and his price was reasonable, but that was without insurance. He said, I can't give you a number until I get my insurance to give me a number, which he then cannot find. So I have no solid numbers of how much this is going to cost tonight at this meeting, because we are trying to find someone who can do it, who's qualified to do it.
Sorry, this is probably a stupid question, but the DPW can't do it, right?
Maddie is not.
I think he would love to hear that. He's been chomping at the bit to go in,
Well, that
but we know he
depends
can't.
on.
I think there's a lot of.
That would be a question that I would have to ask our liability insurance. Do we have demo coverage where if I sent the DPW to knock this over and it goes the wrong way and doesn't go where he wants it, who's it covered by? So that's the other piece in all this. You know, what is our final cost?
So if I can ask.
Well, this
So
part of the
we-
meeting is not a
we
back
can't-
and forth
you
question
can't.
session, yeah.
I'm just trying to figure out where you're going with this. That's all.
Well, that's where we're
the
trying to get all the facts of
No, in
what,
terms of timeline.
that is what we're trying to do in
If we
terms
get
of timeline.
insurance.
That's why I was hoping that the contractor I'd spoken with could have the insurance, so he could give me a timeline of when he could possibly have this done. So I can't say timeline if we don't have that piece.
If we don't have proper paperwork. then-
And we don't have we don't have a cost to approve. The board has to make a resolution and approve the cost for that. So I know trustee, huh?
Just the county have people that they.
Well, that's what I said. The county has all the authority, but none of the responsibility.
No, in terms of contractors that may be able to.
Well, we would
But
gladly accept if they have anybody on record. I know the last demo that we did in the village was, the one they got was from Schenectady, Albany area. Was the last time that we were able to get someone
We're working
for
on it.
that.
We're working on it.
So do you have,
It has to be insurance.
yeah, so we have the option one, which is take no action. Based on review, like Cara said, unsafe building, we have the authority but not the obligation. The unsafe structures law, at the time it was done, was from 1993, 30 years ago, and predates much of the state's rules that have come about since then. So we can forego our own procedures to do this, but we can't forego county and state procedures to do this. Option two, take steps to have the building demolished. We put it on the back. If we decide that we want to demolish the building, then we've got to follow section 5, have on order of the village board, which Cara just read off to us, obtain the county permit, and county, even though they are the code enforcement officer for building code, is saying that doing this is on us. They're not going to do anything about this, even though they have the foreclosure power, they have the power, they were the ones who told the Sartoris family they couldn't use their driveway, etc. you know, they're saying that,
Did
you
we
know,
put that
to
in
do
writing?
all these things.
They blocked
Did
off
we
the
put that
driveway.
right?
No, they blocked off the driveway. So
They
it's
did the
blocked.
night they came out, yeah. So then we could find, if we can find a contractor, we can contract, pay the cost, demolish it, and just, what I'm looking to do, or what I think we've talked about, is just pushing it over so there's no risk of it falling on anyone. And then county continue their order to remedy, which the 23rd of August, this property was on the court docket for an order of remedy through county code enforcement.
To the original owners, right, to the owners,
Yes.
Yeah,
which don't have any money at all,
Yeah.
so that would go.
well, that's neither here nor there. We all have legal responsibilities, whether we have funds or not. Then we could pay to demo the building, and then what we would do is turn around and get a judgment and put a lien against the property to try to recoup our costs if that ever could happen. Of course, if the taxes go unpaid one more year and county decides to foreclose on the parcel, they will take the property and our lien disappears, as was the case with Ackley Building.
Doesn't the town come into this somehow?
Nope.
No,
Why? We pay taxes to the town.
Yeah, you do.
I feel ya.
It's called home rule.
But
It's,
it's, yeah,
yeah, they turn around and say, no, you're within village limits, it's not our problem.
So we pay taxes and don't get anything.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's right.
so we do, we did the steps we do have. I got this about 5:30 Sunday night. I received the special inspection, so we do have an engineer report for that. So I was hoping that we could make a decision tonight, but I don't have the costs to provide you, and until we find out what those costs could be, it's hard
Yeah,
to say.
we should have the costs within the next couple of days,
I'm hoping to, we'll.
if it's possible. I mean, demolition insurance is not even, they cancel demolition insurance with contractors.
Yeah, you have to
Because
be
there's a lot
those
of liability,
bigger outfits.
and the insurance, yeah, you have to get very expensive. We want to get somebody local to get it done.
So can I just add, I'm sorry, but can I just ask that engineering report, does it talk about the situation now in terms of the collapse of the remaining building? Does it mention that, or?
Do we have to?
I can read it off, and we
Chances
can
are-
provide a copy as public record.
No.
So the fellow did the special inspection on July 30th. He inspected the existing structure of the abandoned residence, showed that the exterior walls and roof of the north portion of the house have collapsed due to lack of proper roofing to keep the structure water resistant. The inspection consisted of a visual inspection of the exterior. No one should enter the building structure since the building is deemed completely unsound and structurally unsafe. The collapse of the north portion of the house has also affected the remaining structure. The roof of the standing structure is compromised and the two existing interior floors. After the inspection, it was determined that the structure is extremely unsafe structural condition and has numerous deficiencies that have resulted in my recommendation that the remaining structure be demolished as soon as possible due to safety concerns of the existing structure, surrounding structures, and people's safety. So that was what the engineer.
So stay away from that side of the house.
I think the whole house.
Well,
No,
There's only one side, there's only
Our
one
side of the
section
house.
still standing. I mean, Sue's problem's been a little bit alleviated, but we still have this
Yes.
one side on the other side to address, so.
Excuse me, who was the engineer who made up the
Scott Brownell.
Scott Brownell,
report? Okay, he is from Cambridge?
Scotticoke, his company is Scott Brownell PE out of Scotticoke.
Okay, thank you.
Is
You're
the
welcome.
mold at all an issue? The mold,
The black mold?
the black mold? You can smell
I'm
it.
sure there's gonna be a lot of issues with this property, yes.
Well, it's an issue right now, is what we're saying, so, I mean, we're breathing it in, we can smell it. It's,
Right, but it's still, yes, we're trying to look into what can be done, and unfortunately, nothing can ever be done quickly when there are these processes that we have to go through.
We had a situation 5 years ago, there was a house fire and they just sent in somebody to demolition what was left of the building. And we ended up in court over it. So
Well, we
can't just-
didn't,
We didn't, but the homeowner did. We can't just jump in and do, we have to make sure all of our ducks are, and trust me, as a guy who had his neighbor's tree fall on his house 3 years ago, I feel your pain.
Yeah.
I know what you're going through. And we are trying to do our best, but we want to make sure that we have our rear ends covered in the process. But your safety is our concern.
It's not
I
just
don't
our
want
safety.
I don't want you to think it is. Don't think
Not
for one
just
second it
ours,
is.
it's the neighbors across the way with little children that are breathing in this mold. It's other people that continually walk by the house.
That's
And
something
this
that-
is-
that's
I mean,
gotta be
yes, it's
solved.
us, but it's also the rest of the residents
And
of the
that's gonna be
village.
solved in court on the 23rd. That's something that needs to be brought up to the county.
Well, that's what we're
You know,
trying, I know, we're
The statement
trying
was made was,
to.
there's not much cash there. So does that mean you're coming after the village to do it because they don't have money?
Right.
If it was a millionaire living next to you, would you be coming after us, coming after them? So I mean, we're not the pockets for it all, I guess it's the deep pocket for it all. I mean, I understand there's a safety
And we
issue.
don't, we wouldn't expect you to be the deep pockets. However, it's an issue of personal safety
Yes.
And we get
and
it.
safety of property. And the village does have some responsibility for that. And we understand the situation that is happening right now. So my question is, how long are we looking at? A week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
That's totally gonna be based on the contractor that we
So
can
you
find.
have
I
no-
can't
you have no-
say,
they
I
have to
can't
get somebody
say, we have to
no
find
liability.
someone who's willing to do the work.
But
And I just wanna remind everybody, when you're saying the village is responsible, you are saying your tax dollars are responsible for
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
You know
And
that.
we all know that. I mean, we
Yeah.
paid for the last demo project to the tune of $556,000.
And that's why in my statement, I mentioned the fact of, it appears that your concern is the buck almighty rather than.
Well, like I said, this
Then
is
the
not a
safety
going
of
back,
the
this is,
rep-
okay, this
of
is
the
not a going
citizens.
back and forth. You've
Okay.
had your time
We
to
will.
speak,
I
and
know,
we're
I know.
trying to
Okay,
discuss
I'm
and
done.
give you
Yeah,
every courtesy.
You brought it up, I just.
And, you know, that, as we've all stated, there are many houses that are in this condition,
Yes.
and that's why trustee Halk and I actually, about 3 weeks ago, he found some information. A community in Long Island, Huntington, Long Island, the supervisor down there, is so sick and tired of the municipality having to clean up the irresponsibilities of these property owners, the people that buy property and then leave and don't care about this community, and how we can be proactive on that. And if ultimately these houses are gonna end up falling on the village's neck, why don't we jump in and do something prior to that point? Why do we wait till they're dilapidated
Sue
and we can't do anything? So, this community in Long Island, they're voting to increase their fee, but they already had a fee standing in place. When you own a piece of property that you're either not living in, or renting out to others, or using as a commercial business or some purposes, it's house, commercial, good condition, poor condition, medium condition, you have 1 year to do something viable with that. If you do not, then you start getting a fee every year that your home sits vacant. I think for residential structures, theirs is $250. If you're a commercial structure, $500. In the hopes that that encourages people to either do something with their property or let it go and sell it and give someone else a chance at it before it's too late. The 2 homes on West Main Street, where Myrtle and West Main Street, I get people all the time that ask me, who owns those? It's a really nice place. I'd love to talk to them about buying it. And of course, I direct them to pull the tax roll information and find, the owner on file. And they won't sell these places. They keep paying their taxes on them and they sit vacant, but they won't do anything. If you own property and aren't doing anything with it, let it go for the sake of your community. Sell it to someone who can still do something with it. This home that was next
Well,
to
unfortunately, in
you,
this case, it was the banks. It was the bank
You
because it
know?
was foreclosed and then
The big-
they found
get it
out.
back.
well, not that has turned out, that's not the
Because we contacted the
case.
state.
Bankruptcy.
That's not the, well, we're finding out that's not the case with this property. There's a lot of other things going on with this property
Yes.
that
But
are
they
being
then
claimed that
saw
are
the
not
problems with
accurate.
it and
They're
they
not
released the
accurate.
lien because they went, oh, this cost us too much.
But we've discovered paperwork to the effect that actually never happened. So there's a lot of things that are being said about this property that are not necessarily true when we actually pull records.
So the state was
So-
correct when they gave us a letter saying that the lien was released by the bank.
The state gave you a letter?
Yes.
As a neighbor?
Department
What
of-
state
Department of
entity?
Financial Services. We made a.
Well, could you get me a
Oh, I
copy
get
of
it.
that?
Sure,
Because
sure.
County is going through all the records on this property of what's been filed up there, and there is no record of this ever happening.
No, we
Yeah, but I
went
think you're
to-
saying the same thing. You're saying that they gave you no copy of a release. The bank released the owners.
You wrote and asked him.
We had contacted Department of Financial Service, New York State Department, under the, what's it called?
Zombie law.
Zombie property. And they came out and they
In a drone.
had a drone and
Oh, wow.
all this kind
wow.
of stuff and took pictures, because I was out there going, wow, that's pretty cool. And, anyway, we didn't hear anything, and suddenly we got a letter a few months later saying, we're no longer involved. Because they just deal with the banks
Yeah.
who own that property. The bank had released the lien.
Well,
And it
if
went
you get a
back
copy
to
of any
the-
info you got from the state finance and get that to Lance,
Yeah, I
to
just-
review, because I'll
I
forward
just-
that on to, I'll forward that on to the county treasurer's office as well, because
They don't have that.
they're pulling records and there is no records of that ever happening, so that would be good
Sure,
to
no, I'd
see.
be happy to.
Yeah,
No
But
problem.
it went through bankruptcy anyway.
Right, and that's why they.
well,
And that,
but
Oh,
that's,
you mean the
again,
owners?
these
Oh,
are
owners.
these are facts I can't speak
Right,
to,
right,
because
right,
I haven't seen
No.
anything
well,
to
the
that
owner told
effect.
me that. The owner told me.
I can't.
Right. Unless it-
You know, people say a lot of things, doesn't necessarily mean it's the truth,
Understood.
so. So that's really the only update I have for tonight. Like I said, I wanted to have actually solid numbers for you guys to see. And until we can find a contractor who is willing to take this on and insured to take it on, I won't have those numbers. So, if you can anticipate keeping maybe, well, today's Wednesday, and it's 72-hour notice for a special meeting. Monday, if we can get something tomorrow, if I can find somebody tomorrow to do a special meeting on Monday, if we can line that up. And then we'll discuss what our course is.
We
It's gonna be
continue
at
not to
least-
be able to use our property
Yes,
I
because of this.
understand that.
you can't park on the street. Yes. I know, honey.
Oh, well, and I would ask them to give you something in writing. One thing I've learned in this is ask them for something in
Well,
writing
they-
here.
Cordoned it all off.
No, I mean in regards to your home, like sleeping in your bed, because most often or not, if they're concerned about it, they'll vacate a premises, as was at the case of Ashley, tenants were vacated that were in the vicinity of that
Yeah.
building. So, all
So
right,
you should call John.
call John, yes, call John. All right, so yeah, that's all I have on that section. We're trying to get more for that. The results of our income survey, so as you're aware, back in December, HUD had decided that we were no longer considered a low to moderate income community. And we lost our low income designation, which means we're not eligible for CDBG grants. Which was very difficult because we were working on stuff and we're gonna need a lot of grant money for the wastewater that we're slowly but surely taking steps towards. So we hired in May, G&G Municipal Consulting for them to come out and do a full-fledged income survey. That's the only way to disprove what HUD says, or it either proves it's right. You know, hey, I would love it if all of us were making way more money. Everybody was making way more money in the last few years, but I don't feel that was the case. And so as many had gotten the income survey by mail that you could send back. They also came out and did door-to-doors to get the amount of the population that they had to have.
Mayor, just so you know about that income survey, we did receive one. It was in my sister's name, who has never lived in Cambridge, but she was recently deceased, and we got all her forwarding mail, and it came in her name.
Okay.
So just so you know, I mean, we sent it back
Yeah.
saying deceased.
It would come from the voter reg, is where they pulled a lot of the info from.
I mean, she lived in
That's so
Michigan.
weird. Well, some might heard, yeah.
So I just wanted to let you know that it may not be.
Well, we assume that, yes, yes.
Because we never got one ourselves. It just came to my sister.
Yeah, it's a
and I didn't
sample.
feel
I mean,
like
they
it-
just had a sample of population. It was, what do we need for percentage of people? It wasn't the whole village they got. Let's see, 900. I think, what do we have? Residents in the area, door to door. The survey was distributed to 915 occupied households via US Post Office. And then the different ways. But anyway, they did the survey, they wrapped it up, did the numbers, and we are low to moderate income, which is what we suspected. The median income in the village is 42,000. So they sent this on to the state, so that way we have our designation back as a low to moderate income and are now eligible for any hardship grants or CDBG grants that do come out. So Jay Grasso at G&G, he was great to work with. I never got to meet him in person because it never worked when he was doing the door-to-doors, just by phone and email. But they were able to handle that and get that done. So yeah, if you go to the back page of the results, total households within project service area, 930. Complete surveys received, they received 450. Median household is measured by income survey at 42,000. So that's how, it has all the other data, whatever that means, the percentage numbers to the state, respondents, low mode, high mode, and all that on there. So as Trustee Halleck and I were talking, it feels weird to be happy that we're poor, but we're not happy we're poor. What we're happy is we have data proof that shows what the true makeup of our community is and what is really the household income in our community, as opposed to just the HUD's random sampling number that they pulled. I'm not even sure how they do that, but that was not reflective of the makeup of our community. Barring any other questions from the trustees for me, we can move on to our department reports.
Oh, actually, I do have a question.
Yes.
And we could have touched on it when we get to the DPW report, but I know the guy doesn't have much standing right now, but the governor.
Doesn't have much.
Okay, all right, fair enough. I was
Sorry,
trying
I couldn't help
to give him a little.
I couldn't help.
But, so he's, having all state employees, MTA employees get vaccinated, and he's urged all local government employees to get vaccinated. I didn't know if we had some sort of mandate asking our employees to get vaccinated, or if we will, or if it's just,
No,
vaccinated
we
if you
haven't
want to.
broached down that road
okay.
yet. I mean, that's something we can discuss. You know, honestly, I feel that like the state was probably gonna regulate stuff anyway.
Yeah, right,
And really, why are we gonna jump in that ship of telling our employees that they either have to do this or lose their job?
Yeah,
I'm not necessarily fond of that.
Yeah, of course.
Because I do feel people do have autonomy over their own body as
Sure.
well. So that's,
Yeah, it seemed a little weird. He was urging local governments to do it when he probably has the power to.
yeah, or, I mean, has he made the mandate for state employees?
He has for state employees, yeah, and MTA employees, yep.
Like all state,
All
every
state
state
employees
employee?
that can't get it, I don't know if there
I
are
don't
there's
know.
exemptions, but yeah.
Yeah,
Or like regular
Expected to
testing.
hit by the end of the week.
Yes, yeah, if you don't get it done, you have to do regular testing.
And military also, by the end of the week, the mandates.
Yeah, they're talking about the ODC.
Memo went out yesterday.
I got an email today.
so, yeah, we'll have to
Okay,
look way
just
more
curious.
information as we unfold each step. You know, that's the governor's typical MO, if he, you know, kick it to the municipalities, oh, you should do this, you know, like,
Right,
oh, you guys do the police reform, but our state police do not. well, you guys all have to do the sexual harassment training, but I do not. So, that's, that's a standard, standard thing. But thank you for bringing, well, what else are we gonna do? All right, fire department, you are up.
Apologize for not being here last month. I had a bit of a scheduling conflict. Submitted my report. Make sure everybody has a copy of it. If there's any questions before I kick off on some highlights.
What's associate list to active roster? What does
Yep,
that
so the department, the not-for-profit has two lists. One active roster, that means they're active firefighters responding to emergencies and other incidents within the Cambridge Valley. People that are eligible for an associate list, which means that they've accrued a certain amount of time. They can still be a member of the department. They just have moved out of a role where they're actively responding to emergencies. This firefighter was away at college and has recently come back, so he was eligible to come off that list. So we have a large number of people parked on that because oddly enough, people never leave us. They just end up on the associate list, and then that's where they end up kind of long term for some reason.
Great.
So we have kicked off some. I'll give you a couple highlights. We have kicked off some officer development training. It's kind of one of the things that we wanted to make sure we did during this term. We started with some fire ground tactics training, focusing on the Colfax Mountain area. Has some unique challenges in that part of our fire district. And next we have some reps from the Office of Fire Prevention and Control coming to discuss the standards for which fire departments fall under, as well as obligations of officers under the state standards with that. Apparatus of note, the 2009 engine that was involved in the traffic crash in June has been completely repaired. That has been closed out by the insurance company as well. So our after action report has been done. The report to the membership, as well as updated findings for prevention, have also been issued to the membership. I do have items for surplus. Lance, do you have resolution on those, or didn't we catch that?
No, I didn't see you had a resolution item, my fault.
Do we still do that, or do I?
Sure.
Oh, no, yeah.
So
You got a
last,
list there?
what I do, I can send it.
Oh, I see it right on
Yep.
there. I see it right here in your report.
So last year we replaced our multi-gas meters, which gave us some obsolete equipment. It was cheaper to replace them than to repair and buy new sensors for these old ones. Talking to Chief Gray, we weren't totally certain if they ever got surplus, but they're taking up space, and we're trying to clear space. We plan to hopefully move within 11 months. So we're just looking to surplus these items and get them off our books and out of our current station. So one is a meter calibration station, and the other is 3 meters that were used in response. The calibration station just kept them in tip-top shape and usable for service.
All right, so the motion for that would read: declare Q-ray meter calibration station and 3 times Q-ray meters surplus.
Correct.
If anyone would be willing to make said motion.
I'll make,
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
So projects, every year, the department is required to conduct evaluation of the assisted living complexes fire evacuation plans. We did both facilities about 3 weeks ago. Both met expectations. They actually did really well. We had some small tweaks to make for the safety of everybody, mainly the residents, as far as gathering points, rally points, and things like that. But ultimately, they met standards, and the deputy chief and I did sign off on their regulatory paperwork, so that was complete, and they're in conformance on that. Any questions for me?
The assistant firefighter grant?
Yep, so that's in holding for everybody. The state last year rolled out something called FEMA Go, which is their grants administration program. And for lack of a better term, that's a dumpster fire, and it's causing needless delays and grants across the FEMA spectrum. So they
So is
released
that the reimbursement of the
air packs.
air packs?
Yep, so
Yeah, that's a big
all
one.
the reviews are complete. They're ready to give the awards. It's the technology that's kind of kicking them right now.
Okay.
So hopefully, we hear it's gonna start flowing again soon, because the new grant period opens up not too far from now. They should have this wrapped up by regulation before that kicks off. So
Okay.
hopefully, fingers crossed, but it's in technology delay. Good. Cool. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Nash. All right, DPW. Come on.
Hi, Maddie.
I got a seat right
There's
here.
a seat in here now.
Oh, we've been pretty busy this month with some storms. We've been doing some cleanup. course, I've been going around again once a month and picking up all the village brush. I would like to do that every Monday of first of the month if I can. If not, I'll do it within our 4-day work week, our work week. I've been doing, 220 feet of sidewalk in the west end of town. I poured 110 feet of it. I had that done. I bush hogged the new fire department lot before they did construction. We had the rabies clinic at the village highway on the 9th of this, last month. I guess they had like 100 people down there. I put up some more new, street signs. Other than that, that's what I've been doing.
Sounds great.
Did we order these new street signs, or did you just have them like in a shed?
No, I ordered them.
Oh, okay.
I went around and got all the faded ones, and I was buying them from a company out west, but I talked to the Washington County Sign Department, and I get them down here now a lot cheaper than what we were paying.
Good to hear.
And did you see the email,
Yes, for
like
that,
from
yeah.
Franklin, if we could find a blind person sign? There used
Yeah,
to
I
be,
get one.
there used to be the blind child sign in
Yeah.
Franklin, but it's not
Is
there.
she still there, or has she left her parents?
Well, that's, I don't know.
I don't wanna buy a,
Maybe you could respond to the email that I got and ask if the blind individual is still living there, because maybe
she's still
that's
there,
why
I'll
they
get it,
came
yeah.
down too. Maybe it was taken down because the.
No, it's still
person-
there, it's just
Still
faded.
there? Okay,
I thought she left years ago.
okay.
All right, I'll find out.
Look into it, yeah.
Yep.
All right, thank you, Matt. All right, Police Department, Sergeant Danko.
Hello, good evening, everyone. I just want to make a quick correction on my report. The mileage for 112 is not 155, it's 115. Caseloads for the month of July, we had 17 total cases in the Department of Criminal Justice for a total of 101 for the year. We had a total of 9 arrests for 57. We handled 60 calls of service for a total of 335 for the year. 3 motor vehicle accidents for a total of 20. We issued 27 traffic tickets for July for a total of 197. And the arrest types are listed below.
You've been busy.
So I know we've been way busy with other stuff, but I just figured I'd put it on everyone's radar again. Radar signs. Do we want to, do we still want to, sorry, stupid joke. Do we still want to talk about that, or? I know we've been super busy with
Yeah,
other
a
stuff,
lot's
so.
been happening the past few months, yeah.
But-
I mean, we need prices, right? Do we have some fixed prices?
Yeah, I got the quotes for it. It depends on how many you want to order.
Right.
And then they're roughly about 2,500 a piece. And that's for solar. That's for something that we don't have to, ever buy a battery for.
Oh,
That's what I want.
the digital signs?
Correct, yeah, that's the
Oh.
ones that I have in green. They're about 2,500 a piece.
All right.
I think when Trustee Halleck asked me the price before, we were looking at the best case scenario, and I think it was like 10 grand. Now it's like for like 4 or 5, I think, for the main entrances. But individually, they're like 2,500 a piece.
And you have good, they're not breaking down or anything in Greenwich?
No, I've had them for a couple of years.
And you like them?
Yeah, they're great. That's good.
I mean, we did not put it in the PD budget for this year.
Right, yeah, I know,
So, I mean, that's something too, after our annual update document is done, we'll know how much cash we ended the year with. And we can take some of the fund balance and allot that towards those.
Yeah, I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a great idea, I mean,
That is the money that we're supposed to get from the infrastructure from the federal government, does that include, I mean, I know.
oh, you mean the
that would be a road.
Biden money?
Yeah.
I don't think that
I
means,
like that, all right.
I don't think that meets the criteria for COVID related. But I know, I'm trying to tie it for other things, it's all how you word it, right?
Faster you go,
Are there
more or less
guidelines?
the chance.
There are going to be, there are guidelines that we haven't fully seen yet.
Yeah, I know.
So the
Last time.
federal government and state government are supposed to release the guidelines, which we do have the money, half of it was deposited, 92,000 was deposited for that to our account. And then next year, the other half comes,
Oh,
if we start spending and certifying.
What's it called? It's
American Rescue Plan.
American Rescue.
Yeah.
We also got approved for the Buckle Up New York grant from the state, so we get a couple $1,000 to use towards law enforcement.
Wonderful. Good.
Awesome.
Good. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Emily, you are up.
Okay. Let's see. I started a campaign to make over the community center. I've been bringing in donations. Lots of people have been dropping stuff off. I've been picking stuff up from people's places. Hitting a tomorrow. All of the wallpaper is almost completely down and prepped for paint. And yeah, so we're hoping to put paint in the walls by Friday.
We have to have another open house or something like that.
We're hoping to hold it.
Really?
We're hoping to hold an open house this Saturday. School starts. So that's our plan.
Love it.
As long as everything's ready to roll.
And
And
the
then,
COVID regulations don't change.
Yeah, of course. There's
yeah,
that too,
which
right?
there are no guidelines from the state right now, which is kind of a pain as a teacher and as somebody who runs a youth program. So nothing. We've nothing.
And summer camp?
Summer camp ends Friday. We had 69 kids registered total across the board. It fluctuated between the 4 weeks. Our highest week was 54. And I think it went awesome. The kids were doing great. I met with Jim. We're gonna try to do a survey of parents to see how we can improve the summer camp program and what they're looking for in the after-school program. We met about social media campaigns. I got brand new graphics, beautiful new graphics for both after-school and summer camp. We're working on digitalizing all of our forms to be able to take card payments. And we're working on upgrading the youth webpage to be more, what did I say earlier, youthy?
Making it more using.
Modern and youthy, to make it a little more brighter and,
Right, it's pretty much standard government looking.
yeah, so we're gonna
Yeah.
try to get away from the government a little bit, but so when you click on that link, we have a blog ready to roll, and all of that is gonna be automatically pushed to our social medias. We started a Twitter and an Instagram account, so everything will all be linked together. We can do it in the background.
Are you working with Jim Sweeney on the?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Oh, he's been
Great.
amazing.
He is. That's
He
great. I love that.
I told him what I wanted, he took it and ran with it. So, hopefully by the time school starts, that will be up and ready to roll. I would, reworking some of the wording and stuff for the website and updating that. But
Yeah, wonderful.
and I'm looking for grants. It's hard to find grants though because of how we're licensed.
How it's structured, absolutely, yeah. But it doesn't hurt to look, does not hurt to look.
Yeah.
Wonderful, thank you, it's very exciting. Assessor will not, oh wait, we do have one for the youth. I want to skip a motion. So the Fort Miller Reformed Church sent me a letter with a check that our youth program was the charity of the month for July. So they had done a donations from the lovely little ladies there, $46.10. So their campaign efforts brought in for us. So a big thank you to all the wonderful people at the Fort Miller Reformed Church in South Glens Falls for thinking of our youth programming all the way down here. We appreciate that. So the motion would read, accept the donation of $46.10 for the summer youth program from the Fort Miller Reformed Church of South Glens Falls.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Assessor is not here with us tonight, but of course, no new information. This job is typically gearing up for tax season, which we have passed. Anything from the planning board or
No, I got nothing
ZBA?
from that.
Okay. Attorney Corey, you were up.
I don't have any other report.
Thank you. Historian report you will see in there, and the library. Christina did up a little program of what they've been doing. in what the board and friends over there, but no resolutions for us to pass or approvals to be made. Clerk?
Okay, okay, that's right, there was no library this month. Oh, we did get library, actually, there's a library report there.
Yeah, I just said
Okay,
it. I just said we got a report from the library.
Okay, in that case, rolling right into mine, big focus has continued to be property taxes. You see, we have a total collected right now, $941,956.15. That's 88.8% collected. So I think we're well on track to be, my guess is by the time taxes get turned over to county, we'll probably be up around 93% or so, which is traditionally where we've been ending up. Registrar, 33 vital record certificates. We do have a couple of parade requests. We have one by Mr. George Crockwell for a Christian band concert, which I just put, they want the gazebo, but I understand the condition of the gazebo.
Well, we actually, me and the Lions rectified some of that. It is open for
I
use
think I
again.
talked to him. I told him
We fixed the one railing that was
Outstanding.
gone.
Okay, so I'll tell them it's usable again. I didn't know if someone
I think he called, he's the one that called me and I told him.
probably is then, okay. All right,
Yeah, so
so,
the caution tape is off.
yeah, I didn't know if someone decided to self-decondemn.
I just kind of.
Yeah.
Keep the little guys out.
Got it.
Yeah,
All right, so in
and
that case-
also the Cambridge Lions are making the gazebo their legacy project. And they've been having their summer concerts, every Thursday night. And they are doing a donation campaign to raise funds to, restore parts of the gazebo. We have flooring.
I had the Knights of Columbus call me too, they want to make a donation.
Good, wonderful. Send them to the
I
Cambridge
just told them
Lions who are gonna
make
be
the check
paying
payable
for
to the village and then put the gazebo.
yeah, and then we can make sure it gets to the
If they're real
gazebo.
nice, they can guard the gazebo and keep it from
There we
being
go, keep it
vandalized.
from being vandalized.
All right.
We haven't had anything lately. The cameras seem to be working really well that are tied right to the library, so Christina and the PD can see everything that happens there and hoping to make it through the rest of the summer without any more vandalism incidents. Yes, continue on.
Okay, so the motion is approve use of gazebo by George Crockwell for a Christian band concert on August 7th, 2021 from 1 to 5 p.m. pending receipt of insurance documentation. And I'll reach out to them tomorrow. My guess is they have it already.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, and the second one we have is approve use of Durham Park. I know you were aware of this one, ma'am. Approve use of Durham Park by Cambridge Youth Cheer for cheerleading practice on the afternoons Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday between August 2nd and October 4th, pending receipt of insurance documentation, which I think you now have.
Yes, it was delivered to my porch yesterday. I didn't bring it for you today, but yes, they have it.
I'll make the motion.
Okay. So again, Steve?
I'll second.
Do they use this every year?
Every year with the exception of last year, because there was no share, but yeah.
Okay, and the other
So all
one,
those, we haven't voted yet. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
and the last is I'm talking with Justice Flint regarding them trying to get a JCAP grant, which is a grant they get through, I guess, New York State Department of Justice. Board of the Village of Cambridge authorizes the Cambridge Village Court to apply for a JCAP grant in the 21-22 grant cycle up to $30,000. They can't even submit unless the village board.
Yeah,
allows.
the judge
Yeah.
stopped by my house on Sunday and chatted about it, so yeah.
I should start working on your
I
front
know.
porch.
I
and see if
know.
that's where it's all happening.
Then we just go to your house.
What, again, another stupid question, but what will our village court do with a $30,000 grant?
That's a good question. I was gonna ask the same thing.
Yeah.
They're mostly focused on IT upgrades.
Yeah.
IT.
That's the big one.
Okay.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, this printer in the corner, I believe, is obsolete. They can't even get it repaired anymore, so they want to do that, and then a couple of the other
Okay. Yeah.
devices that we
It's not
have for
obsolete, it's a
court
legacy.
purpose. Yeah.
I'll make the motion on that.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, and we will, I know this is the 1 month you didn't put enter executive session. Usually you leave a block every meeting and we don't need it. This month we do need it.
So in that case, First of all, any questions of me on the clerk report or is?
No, I'm
We good?
good. The other trustees are good.
Okay, in that case, I'll carry over a motion. Ah, we didn't use it last month, did we? Okay.
No, it'd be.
So I gotta do this from memory.
And memory, enter executive
Enter executive session,
for the purpose
of discussing legal matters.
And personnel issue.
No, we wouldn't let us use personnel as a specific.
Oh, really?
Yep, discussing legal matters pertaining to the village.
Discussing current, yeah, enter executive session for the purpose of discussing current litigation and other legal matters.
There you go, litigation is what I left out. We'll give you something to talk about. Okay, so.
I wasn't sure what the topic was.
Enter executive session for the purpose of discussing current litigation and legal matters pertaining to the village. If anyone would be willing to make said motion.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we'll give a couple minutes.
Thank you for coming in. Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah, probably here tomorrow until. I'll take the word for it. Or if you have the ability to scan, I can just.
All right. Back on. All right. All right, do we have a motion to adjourn meeting?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, once the camera shuts off, I have a question.
Okay. I don't know if I can take it.